Hey guys, I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. We've got a great show for you. I know it's not our normal time, but we have got some special guests from Arendal Sound. So we're going to introduce them, Jan, not John. So Jan and Thomas. Good to have you guys. Of course, we got Ryan, and then Jonathan will be joining us shortly. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having
Pretty
me.
good. Yeah.
So they say they don't talk a whole lot. So we're going to try to pull that out of you during our time together. We've got some folks in the chat. So if you guys have questions for Arendal Sound, drop those in the chat. We'll get to as many of those as we can. Of course, super chats get priority, but definitely not required. And so we're just going to have some fun. And so you guys know that they are a platinum sponsor of the Youthman channel. And we've also got some of their products in for review. We had a couple of their speakers at M-Wave this past year. And of course, almost every week, somebody in the chat asks us a question about Arendal Sound. They're asking, hey, I'm considering this brand and this brand.
All the time.
What do you recommend? And so we're like, man, we need to get these guys on the channel. Let's have some fun together. Let's answer some questions. And so if you've got questions for them, definitely drop those in the chat. Ryan will be starring those during the conversation. And so we're going to try to keep this to about an hour. We're going to be respectful of their time. So here in the US, it's about 2:00 p.m. What time is it over in Norway?
8 o'clock.
8:00 p.m. or a.m.?
PM, yes.
Okay, so it's a little bit later. So it's going to be a late night for these fellas. So we're going to be respectful of their time. So we'll keep it right at an hour. But first thing I want to talk about is pronunciation of your brand. I have seen countless videos, some of my other friends that are in the content creation space, home theater, they've got your products, and it seems like we all say it differently. And so I know when I first heard of your brand, I began to pronounce it Arendal, and then I changed to Arendal for some reason. But now I think I've been pronouncing it correctly. So I now call it Arendal. So I would love to hear from you. How do you pronounce your brand for everybody here?
We say Arendal.
See how difficult that is for me to say?
But your last one was pretty spot on.
Arendal.
The Disney version is not the right one.
But that's from Frost, right? Arendal.
Yeah. So my first two attempts were they were trash. They were way off. So
the first one that you had is the majority of the pronouncements from US customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty common. I know you and I had a conversation a while back, and you're like, we love hearing however people choose to pronounce our name. You know, we think it's cool. It's different. And because your brand is reaching literally all over the globe, all over the world, you've got products over, of course, in Norway, which is where your headquarters is. But over the past probably maybe 3 years, we've been seeing you basically bringing your products over to the States, and we're seeing a big kind of surgence over here in the US. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we started to first, I guess it's 3 years already that we started to export from the European warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, then we established the US warehousing in Chicago for better and faster deliveries. So that's already 2 years ago. It feels like it was yesterday. So
nice.
Yeah, we try nothing's perfect, but we try to improve everything that we can when it comes to the quality of, one thing is the products, but also the delivery, because that's the one problem that we have. It's like out of our control, you know. We can control everything on the product, everything, customer support, everything, but then we leave everything, so you know, the responsibilities to the last touch to someone else. And if we could, then we would deliver it ourselves, but we can't. It's impossible.
Sure. So maybe for the folks that are in the chat and those watching on the replay who maybe aren't familiar with your story, maybe just give us a brief introduction of what is the origin story of Arendal Sound.
Yeah, me and Thomas, we were like, it was 2014, early 2014, I think it was. We had just a fluid conversation, brainstorming about pain points of our history with other brands that we launched and introduced by L-Sound, which kind of was the launched in, originally we launched it in 2005. So that was kind of L-Sound was we were like an importer and distributor for European market for different brands. And we said, why don't we just do this ourselves? We have the knowledge, we have tech knowledge, we have marketing knowledge, we know how things are working, because just creating our own brand would be the same methods and routine structure, just to launch another different brand. So we would kind of want to we have been burnt so many times from other brands, so we would just decide, let's do it ourselves, let's create our own brand. We never get what we want from the other brands, so that's what we did. We launched the brand, we launched it with our products that we wanted to get the customers, and that's what we did. We had our design philosophy. We had our design for at least 2 or 3 years ahead of the discussions, because we knew what we wanted, especially the waveguide, which you know already, and a lot of the core fundamentals that you guys see now, that we have been kind of working on and designing ahead of 14 actually. But it was kind of in discussion in 14 that was just like, let's do it. We want to create our own future, impulses, to get some excitement for the team internally too, so they have some ownership to it. That was kind of what brought everything in, and then everything just came after it. So basically was kind of me and Thomas having a discussion about things, just a fluid discussion, a late night, whatever day of the week. We normally work every day. So, that's actually what came out from it. Just, let's do it, and then, just forget the rest, and let's build our own future, and then we can decide whatever goes. If it goes bad or if it goes good, then it's on our own shoulders. We can decide on our own, not a new suit coming into a new company.
Sure.
We saw that there were so many new owners of a new company, and then you suddenly wasn't a good customer anymore. You were just like, hey, who are you? And we didn't want that. So
yeah.
Yep.
And that's always a big step. I mean, we're always fearful of the unknown, but sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith, take that trust, and say, you know what, we're just going to make it happen. And if it fails, we can always go back to what we've done before.
Yep.
But what if it succeeds? Then you've got something really special. You're passionate, you're behind it, and it can really, really be something amazing. And so we're excited about what you're doing with Arendal Sound and what we're seeing and even experiencing finally, over the past couple of years, that we've been hearing about it. So we're finally getting some of your products in. And so we're going to talk about some of your products. We're going to talk about some of the design philosophy, just kind of hear the heartbeat of Arendal. And then if Ryan's got questions, we got some folks in the chat that are dropping some questions. Even before we get to that, we've got people literally from all over the world. Got some folks watching in and listening in from Norway. We've got some from Sweden. We've got some from North Ireland. Good to see you, Bill. Normally, he probably doesn't get a chance as often to hang out with us because it's much later on his time frame. Who else we got? From Tonsberg. Super cool there. Then we got some folks, of course, from the U.S. My audience consists of about 50 to 60% in the U.S., but everybody else is outside the U.S., so it's always fun for me to connect and see where you guys are listening in from. Let's see who else right here. So even Denmark, So literally just all over the world. So super exciting stuff. But we'll get to you guys' questions in just a little bit. So again, if you got a question for the folks here, we'd love for you to drop those in the chat. We'll star those. So we'll be saving them. And then we'll kind of answer all those questions near the end of the show. We've got some folks, Robert, he's from Canada. We even had some folks last year come from Canada to M-Wave. So super pumped about that. A couple other thoughts too before we dive into kind of the philosophies of Arendal. One thing that I love is that you offer kind of 4 almost like really good reasons why people should even consider your brand. You offer a 60-day audition period. I mean, that's like 60 days for you to get it in your home, to check it out. Because one of the questions I always get from, regardless of what brand I'm reviewing or making content on, a lot of my audience and a lot of you guys in the chat, you'll say, man, I wish I could hear them for myself, or I wish I could sit in those theater seats myself to see if they're going to work for me. So when a company is willing to say, hey, we'll let you put it in your home for 60 days and you figure out if it's a good fit for you. And the reality, we know that when you get it in your home, that's when you get attached to it. And that's probably why you do that. You're like, we believe that you're going to love them just as much as we do. And so get it in your house. You've got 60-day audition period, but you've also got a 10-year stinking warranty. That's a long time. And so I think that's phenomenal. You've got free shipping. And then you've even got, do you still have the 1-year upgrade?
Yes.
Like the trade-in? So basically kind of walk us through, like, why are some of those, like, where did the decision, what's the thought process behind those 4 incentives for consumers?
The first of all, when it comes to the 60 days home trial, that is something that we encourage people actually to, if they're like undecided, they're not decided for any options or solutions, we normally encourage them to get our products and get the other alternatives they have from another brand. And then we encourage them to actually, do an A/B test. And yes, obviously you don't get 100% hit, but normally the big majority is like they stick with our products and they return the other ones. That's normally how we want them to do it, because then it's not just take our words on it.
Sure.
Word on it. Just do your own comparison if they can afford the limited funds they have to pay for both products, obviously. And the 10 years of warranty it's easy when you have, Thomas can make more comments on it, but we do have a premium high-end level of quality on our products. We do extreme stress testing on our products. We don't do low-end. It's like, Steve Jobs said for Apple, they don't ship junk. And if we did, we would give you 1 or 2 years.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. So when you do 10 years, it's because we stand behind the product. Some things happens, right? During the years, maybe something with the cabinet, whatever, but we stand behind it, and then it's covered by the by the warranty. We take care of it both ways, no cost for the customer. Even if you bought it secondhand, it will still cover it. It's not only the first buyer. So it's easy for us to give the 60 days buy and try. If they're not happy by the 60 days or 15 days, it doesn't matter for us. They need to spend the time, because 2 weeks is just fine, right? They have to unpack it, they have to set it up, and then suddenly the first week is off, flown by, and they get stressed if it's going to, they can make a hasty solution.
Yeah.
Both by also that they miss the slot to return it, window. So if we think it's a good way, at least for us, how to give it to them. And the 10 years also was really an easy way to do it, because why not give 10? If it, 5 or 10, it doesn't matter for us. But if you ship junk, then it matters.
This is something we take into consideration, obviously, during the design phase also. So all of the parts and pieces that go into the design, we have to know that it's going to last, 10 or many years into the future. So from our perspective, that's also what we would want for ourselves, right? So we want to kind of be proud of the products we make and be able to stand behind them fully. So we offer a 10 years warranty, and we don't sell into retail shops. So by doing the 60-day buy and try, then most people get to buy the speakers and test in their own home without, costing a penny.
Yeah. So one of the first things I noticed when I got this 1723 THX in, those boogers are heavy, man. I mean, we're talking the towers, the center channel, I don't even really want to call them bookshelves. I mean, they're monitor speakers. These things are massive, super thick construction. Maybe kind of walk us through, why are these things so heavy?
So that you can do biceps curls. we
were impressed.
Yeah, so the next time it has to be a bench press, I think, of the 2V or something.
All right, I can
for that.
I'll try it. The hardest thing, honestly, is balancing something like that. And that's what I found when I was curling. I'm like, man, there's no good way to even grab this. And I can't physically just put my hands on it and curl it. So
Gene, seems like you did a more like a strongman thing when you take this.
Yeah, they're
like athlete stones. You can start picking them up and putting them on top of something.
My head. But yeah, I noticed that they're really, really dense. Do y'all use a thicker material?
Yeah, we use HDF material on all of the speakers and subs we produce instead of MDF. So it has higher density and it's heavier for sure. And we use pretty thick panels, especially in the baffle where it really matters.
Right.
So they will be up to 50 millimeter. That's what, 2 inches.
Okay.
My inches to millimeter. It confuses me sometimes, but I think
me too.
So that is where a lot of the weight comes in, and then even on the 1723 towers monitor center, we are using bitumen or butyl sheets inside, cover the inner walls, which completely kills any higher frequency resonance, and that adds also quite a bit of weight. It just makes the product sound even better. You get more dynamics and less coloration from the cabinets.
Yeah. So from a consumer standpoint, we just see the outside, but in engineering and manufacturing a product and a well-made product, you have to consider what's on the inside as well. The bracing, the thickness of the wood so it doesn't flex. But then you're also talking about kind of like dampening, I guess, on the inside to prevent those resonances on those higher frequencies, which can kind of, I guess, colorize the sound on the outside to what the consumer hears.
Exactly. The thing is with like a higher density fiberboard is you're also moving the frequency of the colorations versus like a less dense material. You would have like a lower frequency type movement on the cabinet. So with it being higher, it's actually also even more effective using these butyl sheets to kill that type of vibration.
So I'm going to go ahead and put up. I'm going to bring your website on the stream here so we can actually just kind of see what we're talking about here. Let me go to the 1723 series. Yeah, it's probably a good picture there. So you got, well, we don't have the towers in that one. I'm trying to find a photo with all of them in there. Yeah, that one's kind of there. So you got the big towers. So we've got massive drivers. These are 8-inch. So you got 888s below, a top one that's 8-inch, and then you've got a large soft dome tweeter as well. But each one of these speakers, you can kind of see in relation to the TV. That is a monster center channel right there. And then the towers are really, really tall. So these are big speakers. And the other thing I noticed is just your build quality on these. Really impressed with that. We're not using, chintzy binding posts on the back. Kind of walk us through some of the design, not even design choices, but the
Why did you decide to differentiate away from the norm of what most other companies do? Why, like in the back of your speaker here, it doesn't look anything like what a normal speaker does.
No.
Why did you make those decisions? And why did you choose? I'm just going to layer some stuff in here.
Yeah,
Why did you choose like the design that you did for the waveguide, the tweeter, that kind of stuff when you guys were coming out? Because I know you said that you, when Jan was talking that, oh, we can do that, and you did. But what made you go that way? Was it to differentiate? Were there objective benefits? Take us through the design process of how these speakers came to be.
Thomas, you'll take the technical. I'll just add one. We have a big ego ourselves, and it's like, and we have high expectations when we buy other products from, you know, whatever that is, headphones or computers, whatever it is. It's just the level of the expectancy what we would want ourselves. It sounds like a marketing or sales kind of high pitch or whatever that is. But we don't want to. We could do like vinyl on the 961. We didn't. We did the same HDF with the paint, right? So there's just, we try to sometimes get ourselves to, okay, let's go down a level to see, and it's like, no, we don't want to ship it, even if we could get away from it or get away with it. So it's just like the mentality from the design, me, Thomas, and all throughout the team. We just don't want to. If we have to go down, we can't deliver the quality we want from a different SKU. We just skip the whole SKU. So, but Thomas, you can do technical stuff.
Just on that picture you showed behind there, on these terminals, that is something we discussed back and forth. I remember for like weeks. We could have, used some cheap type brass terminals or these plasticky things or whatever, some off-the-shelf parts. But we're like, no, it needs to be, it needs to look nice and it needs to have the proper connectivity. So we actually machined them out of pure copper, and then we rhodium plate them. It makes it look nice, and they don't oxidize in any way. But for the design aspect, it kind of started all with the big tower you're watching there now. And we, obviously we had many years in the industry listening to different speakers. Personally, I've been building speakers since, I don't know, I was 10 years old, the first one with my father. So I played around with a bit of things and kind of know what I like and not, and Jan and me were pretty aligned in that sense. So what we wanted is a big dynamic speaker, that could kind of handle anything well and robustly. We wanted a speaker that had pretty high sensitivity, and frankly, we like the idea of having a larger mid-range because you get a different impact than you do with something that's smaller. Now the caveat with using like an 8-inch mid-range that we're doing is that it starts getting the dispersion of the driver starts getting pretty narrow, the higher up you get in frequency, right? And then if you just use a normal dome tweeter without a waveguide and cross it over at let's say 2 kilohertz or 2.5 or whatever, you'll have a completely different characteristics on how the off-axis behavior is between the tweeter and the mid-range, and then you can make it sound okay on axis. The problem is the reflected sound you get from room will sound different than the direct sound, and then starts to not really sound natural, and it will be very much affected by room acoustics. So that's where the whole waveguide idea came in. And we also needed a pretty large diameter tweeter to actually be able to handle, we were crossing it at 1.5 kilohertz, which is pretty low for a tweeter. And to be able to do that, we went up with the 28 millimeter size dome. So that's kind of some of the logics or ideas behind waveguide at least and some of the design aspects.
Sure. And even in there's functionality, but then there's also even just some aesthetics in the feet, in the base, in the spikes. It includes, I think there's another picture right here. You've got these rubber pucks. And so there's a variety of installations, because we know we have consumers that are installing these on wood floors like I have in my living room. If I go in the theater room, I've got carpet, so spikes are great there. We have cement floors in the theater room. You may have marble or tile. And so a lot of different variations there. And you don't see a lot of manufacturers, especially in this price point, including some really high quality premium feet and accessories to allow you to, depending on what you're setting this on, to be able to have that versatility. So.
Yeah, we actually see quite a lot of people using these pucks under the
Right.
bars, to protect the floors that are easier to wiggle around if you need to move them without damaging the floor in a way.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got hardwood floors or anything that could get damaged from those spikes, that's definitely not a good thing. You don't want to be scratching that. But just the fact that you're including those, to me, it was just a really nice statement when I opened that up.
So Ryan, go back to just finalize your question about what makes our brand different in build quality and whatever that the difference from the competition. And we're doing this consumer direct. So either we could just double our pricing and get more profits and get away with it and still be super competitive in the market. But we did our decision based on, and this has been also used against us, right? Because people are, the minds are like, if the price is lower, it has, there's a reason for it. Mm-hmm. That's how you typically, if you have two jeans, it's the same jean. One is cost €1,000 or dollars, and then one other cost $50. Mm-hmm. It's the same jean, but for some people would buy the one for $1,000 because they believe it's the better product. So obviously we knew that mentality of how the behavior works when you go out and look for a new product. Then you kind of categorize the product right away when you see the price tag. So we knew that we need to spend years indoctrinating the value of the product for the customers. And we see that it has definitely been working, and it's working year over year, that people are understanding this consumer direct concept. So we could have done a lot of, much more profits on it, but we want to just, everything that we do is for the customer. If it doesn't fit for the customer, we don't do it. Is it the product? Is it the marketing? Is it whatever that is? Customer support, if it's the purchase benefits, whatever that is. It's more for the customer journey. That's what we base our business on. It's not just mumbo jumbo stuff. We're pretty transparent on what we're doing and then what we're delivering by giving them 60 days buy and try, 10 years warranty. It's not like, that's not mumbo jumbo. It's real, so just kind of to end the answer to your question.
I appreciate that. So piggybacking on more technical stuff, what was the design choice for choosing a normal soft dome tweeter? There's nothing behind that. I'm always curious of what makes people's design choices, or why go a certain direction and why go with that waveguide over something else, or no waveguide, if you will.
Yeah. Soft dome tweeter is typically easier to get working well when you're crossing it over as slow as we're doing at the 1500 hertz. Okay. Really hard materials can be a bit underdamped, and then when you start cranking up the volume, it starts sounding a bit brittle and nasal, or even singy in a way. So for us, a soft dome is natural sounding and easy to kind of incorporate with the sound from a paper mid-range, which we're using in our 1723 series, also 961s. So like a silk will be like one of the best damped material for a dome.
What about the waveguide? What
The
were the
waveguide,
design choices?
so the waveguide just helps, first of all, narrowing the dispersion when you're going really low into frequencies where it needs to meet the mid-range's dispersion. So to match that characteristics, that's where the design, the shape of the waveguide comes in. But also it helps by boosting the level of about 6 dB, maybe even a little more in the low end, which we're reducing in the filter, obviously. So it's just giving us like this distortion advantage. We can play louder, and we can make it, survive a really low crossover point at loud listening levels.
Okay. Well, I'm just always interested in what makes the design choices and why you go a certain direction, to get into more of the intimacy of why a speaker was designed with a certain characteristic. It's always really interesting of those differentiators apart from other things in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of tweeter types that can sound great. So it's just a matter of implementation and how you work with it. Really.
The waveguide was the first one that we really want to keep as the kind of the center of everything that we do on the.
So were there any shortcomings that you saw that made you want to, in the industry as a whole, or in other brands, not naming any brands, but that made you want to design the speaker in a certain way?
I think the main factor is we wanted our own thing, so we can get our sound and design what we want, and not having to be dictated by, a manager of company A wanting something different in the future, or maybe you're not a part of that, or they're selling it to someone else, and then the new suit comes in, and you're just put up to the side.
You've got full control over, the direction of the company and the sound signature that you're looking for.
Yeah.
It is always nice to have full control.
Kind of along that line, excuse me, guys, my wife so generously gave me her cold this morning, so I'm struggling with that. But this goes along similar to that. It says, why an MTM arrangement instead of a tweeter on top? That way there's only one woofer for mid-range, like a JBL, below the tweeter, and you free up an extra woofer dedicated to bass. So maybe walk us through maybe answering that question.
Sensitivity and distortion are the first that comes to mind. By using two drivers in the same area, you definitely increase the sensitivity of the speaker. It would probably be difficult or more difficult to reach the THX certification by not doing it this way. And also for maybe especially home cinema, you get a little less room interaction by doing an MTM design versus like a tweeter mid design, which will have a bit more off-axis output, so you get a bit more reverb from the room. And from our perspective, it makes the speaker sound a bit more direct and dynamic by doing an MTM in a way for a home cinema application.
Okay. I think it's a good time to start going through questions, Michael.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So let's go ahead and hit them.
And guys, I'm not going to star anymore, just so we can be cognizant of these guys' time.
Yep. So Oprah Winfrey says, with the retirement of the 1961, are you coming out with a new speaker? So we know you might not be able to give away some secrets, but are you kind of working on some stuff in the background to replace that series?
Well, it's like we always. It's like we always say, we're always working on something, right?
I love
it's the truth, though, that we kind of are. And I guess for the past couple of years, we've been working on something specific. But, we can't really spill any details because so many things can happen along the way. And
the answer to your question is that we are not working on a replacement for 961.
Okay.
So there's reasons why we're doing it. And we want to focus on the niche 17-3 kind of market, because 961 has a different target,
Sure.
which kind of so it is kind of, that's the reality, because there's nothing wrong with the product, because that has been kind of getting ICE awards. It has got a ton of reviews, customer feedback, satisfaction. But it was a hard decision, but we did make the decision kind of to narrow down on the niche market that we are super good at, market leading at, and then in the future invest more into that category. That's reality.
So Tango says, looking at those smiles, they're indeed working on some stuff.
We are. So we're just
so that's exciting. So probably the best thing to do is make sure that you're subscribed to their newsletter, because y'all send out periodic newsletters, whether it's weekly or monthly. So of course, anytime that they give me permission to share anything, I'd love to share that with you guys as well. So, but you're already subscribed to my channel, so make sure you are subscribed to their newsletter, and y'all do your marketing, like, I mean, literally, I'm looking at your website because I like design and stuff. Even the pamphlet, the owner's manual that you sent, it's like, it's just done really stinking well. You could have sent a black and white, real cheap manual. This is like a full color brochure, So even things like that matters to me as a consumer, and I definitely appreciate that.
So that comes from like it's the same with the products, that we don't want to ship just a junk manual, right? It's just mentality we need to indoctrinate in the company's mentality in what we're delivering, down to the single few steps. And another Thomas is doing who is the media specialist. He's doing crazy things. He's really artistic. So we need to sometimes pull him back, because he's getting a little bit too crazy. But that's a good part of it, that he pushes us to do new things. And then you have Martina is doing great on her things on the design, and then you have Nevis, which you have been talking before. So she's doing a great job on the newsletters and improving those, and she's doing a lot of stuff. So we just have a great team. That's I'm super stoked about the whole team. Like I said, like I always say, it's like I'm trying to be the dumbest person in the room, and I can say I am, because I'm surrounded by experts, and that's awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, that's why I have Jonathan and Ryan on my podcast, because I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and I'm okay with that. Nothing wrong with that. Here's another great question. 312 Ironhide says, I'm currently debating between the 1961 towers and the centers to use as monitors with a subwoofer. Would the towers have any SPL advantage, or are they just easier to drive with more bass extension?
They're a slight bit more sensitive than the monitors. But if you're using subwoofers, and especially if you're using more than one, so you have them well collocated and have a good bass integration, then the monitors will work in many cases just as well. But it depends just a bit on also what you prefer to listen to. For some people, they like for a cinema or setup, having it different than their music setup. And I think the biggest advantage would be for a music setup if you, for a reason, would like to avoid using the subs, which I know some people do. So then you'll get bass extension further down.
Nice.
It just looks bigger.
What's that?
It looks cooler.
It looks cooler. Hey, and honestly, that's a design choice, and that's sometimes we buy or make our decision. That might be the tipping factor to buy one over another. So. Tango says, massive respect from Denmark for your brand. By the way, I like the name Thomas, as that's my name too.
Awesome.
B8 says, great content. Are any in-ceiling speakers in the near future? So are we looking at doing something like that for maybe some Atmos speakers? Can you say? If you can't,
can I repeat though?
All right. So it might be in the works, but we can neither confirm nor deny. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. So Corbin says, Jan is the best. Thank you guys for the mug. So did y'all send him a mug? Excited to see your next product.
We may have given him a recognition for something that he did for us. Nice. I think. Okay. And I just from the customer support team, it's normally Gunnar that comes into my office. He has a name. He wants me to, I send him a personal letter, stated by Corbin, this one, and then we gave him a mug, and then I see he's appreciate that, and thank you, Corbin, for mentioning it. It's our pleasure. Cool.
So again, just kind of going above and beyond sometimes what a big, massive corporation really can do, because they've got other things that they're trying to accomplish. So I love the personal touch that you're providing. Richard says, how big of a price increase is the 1723 series going to have after the new pricing? So we got an email the other day that mentioned, hey guys, pretty soon we're going to be increasing our pricing. Can you walk us through as far as what is the timeline of that? How, because I even shared, I think 2 days ago with my audience, hey, there's going to be a price increase. If you've been on the fence, you need to get in now and get in on that savings. And so I sent out a newsletter as well as posted that on my channel. But when does that take place? And are you able to share like how much of an increase that'll be?
Yeah, it's the difference from product to product, and then also we do multi-currency based on your current country. Okay. So there's a lot of because there's a lot of happening on the currency markets. So it's up to 10%. So not a huge one.
Sure.
Again, the thing is that we do a price increase or adjustment, not just to get the price increase. It's based on the adjustment based on production cost, currency differentiations over time, and then we. Sorry, I lost it. So yeah, I mean, the thing is that we are more sensitive to a bigger company with huge margins, because this is kind of the downside of it, that we're more sensitive because we fight every day to get our vendors to lower our pricing to compensate the price increase that we probably would have done earlier. Right. So we're just sensitive in how we want to do it. It may be $50, it may be $100. Right. We don't do 500 or 1,000 or double our pricing, which we have seen some brands has done over COVID. Oh, it's COVID. Let's use that for everything that we can, and then double our pricing or 50% up or whatever. We do small increments just to kind of have our margin, which we need to develop new products to be here for the customers. Developing our experience and the journey for the customer. It's not free for us to give customers 10 years warranty or 60 days buy and try. For the US market and for European market, we have free shipping both ways. It's not free. It's like we get a vendor bill from DHL, FedEx with that.
And I think a lot of people forget that it's not like these costs disappear. You're just absorbing them.
No, we asked DHL, we have this policy. Do you guys support us? No, we do. So it's a huge cost into it. So, but it's worth it for us. Obviously, some customers we just know are misusing it. They buy 3 different products and then they return maybe 1 or 2 of them. Right. But I have to say that we have super loyal customers that are not misusing it, that they would do in a regular retail shop or something. Because we want to encourage them to get with us, if they're not certain of what they buy, just don't buy 1 or 2 or 3 products because there's a free thing. Do the favor that get with our experts, behind the brand, and they can help you with a snap of a finger. Then they can tell probably right away which product is the right way. So no, you're right. It's not free. We have to. The cost is on us.
Yeah, and that's the reality. I mean, and I went to bat for just about every company because I see it a lot on my channel that, oh, I can't believe this company just increased 30%. And I'm like, is there anything in your life that isn't more expensive now than it was in 2020? I know in my life, everything's gone up, everything. And so we can't expect brands like Arendal or any other speaker, receiver, theater seat, projector to just go, oh, and absorb all of that. I mean, the reality is that has to be distributed at least partially amongst your customer base. So,
I mean, if we do up to 10%, if we had distribution, it would probably be up to 20 to 30%. If we had retailers, so people need to understand where's the saving. The traditional is like production, and then you have in some cases you have a central warehouse for your Europe, and then you have the next one is the distributor, and then you have the retailer. Everyone is going to have a big profit on it, the markup, and also the shipping for every leg the product has to go through. So it's something to think about what actually the products would cost if we did that go that route, because the dealers wouldn't take 0%, just be nice for the customers. They would do 40 or 50% or whatever that is.
Yeah, sure. So earlier you mentioned the mugs. So Travis says Arnold needs to have some merch. He wants to buy some stuff, man. He wants some hoodies. He wants some swag.
I can reveal that we are working on some great news on our community.
Good.
And the mentality is not selling merchandise, but it's going to, just like Corbin, to send out stuff to people to recognize them and acknowledge the appreciative stuff for them. So the new concept of the new community. So check that out in some few weeks.
All right.
It's going to be we're going to do some pretty good stuff, big stuff, changes in the community.
Nice.
So our community needs to be more about the customers, not like a tech support forum. So we will do massive changes. So we probably won't sell stuff on the merchandise, but they will when they are in the community, we may do stuff there to actually give stuff to people instead of just taking their money just to, and that's kind of how we see it. You have to earn it.
I love the heartbeat behind this. It's like you're customer centered. Like that's customer centric, and that's the goal. You want to.
I mean,
not only
we do customers. We could do customer direct. Everything today is all about see the customer, understand them. Hear them out, listen to them. I think that's kind of the beauty of what we're doing. Yes, we have a great product. Yes, whatever marketing, whatever customer support level that we have, it's everything is just, if you don't do it for the customer, who are you doing it for? Is it for me or Thomas or anyone else in the company? That's just an ego-centric thing. So
Zeta says, Jan, since the V2 sub is the peak of your lineup, will there be an even bigger subwoofer in the near future? Everybody always, once we saw 18s and 21s and 24s and 50s, the whole community in home theaters like, when's this company going to go bigger? And so, again, this is probably going to revert back to the reality is most companies are not going to tell you what they're thinking of and what they're working on. They're not going to let you know until it's ready to launch or pretty close to launch. So if I had to guess.
Yeah, I love big stuff, Thomas knows it. But it's like the bigger it gets, you can do like 4 21-inch woofers. But at the end of the day, you need to give the customer, give the market what they need, not just buy 50 customers, buys. It has to be, you have to leverage the value, and then because there's a lot of investments into one singular SKU, it's like a lot of money. So obviously that's kind of the downside of a product, because we would have like a ton of different products out there if we could just choose and someone did the development and R&D and the tooling free for us, but it's kind of not the case. And we have a lot of customers asking for stuff, and we do brainstorm every single idea that we get from customers. Is it realistic that we can do this product? How many other customers are asking for it? And then we kind of put that through the pipeline. I would say the V2 is, it's underestimated. You have tested two of them. I think a product like the 2V is unfortunately going down in the department of how much SPL can you do down to DC, 0 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what the 2V is all about. It does like 10 hertz in-room response with incredible SPL. But the thing is that the 2V can go against up to high-end quality level products, So it's like a combined premium high-end subwoofer that can do the high-end level of quality with the quality of the product or the build quality, but it goes up against these down to DC 15 centimeters, so like how many X amount of inches of excursion, right? And then you have like 2 kilograms of moving masses just to get it down, So it's all about the combination of the SPL, the depth, the build quality, and also the dynamics, which you sacrifice when you have a product going down to DC, So I think it's kind of, it's one of our better selling products, but it's also the most delivering product of what we are delivering today. And it can actually go up against most brands out there. And we encourage, especially for the 2V, that get the 2V and then compare it to any other brands out there. Because I think it's an underestimated product, because people put it into a category. The product should cost $8,000. Then people would put that in a different category, right? Like we started out with. So
that's our battle.
It out.
Yeah. So Travis says, with the generous upgrade policy that you have, is going from a single 1723 2S to dual 1723 1S, would that be considered an upgrade? Because they're looking at, the upgrade policy. Would that qualify? What determines what qualifies? How do you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty flexible. We understand that it can be like a sideways movement in ways also, but just reach out to us if you're, wondering whether or not this will work. In this case, yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Last couple questions. Nick says, just got some 1723S monitors. He loves them. Any way to wall mount them, but have them angled in, like maybe on a swivel or an angled mount? I know you guys offer flush mount brackets. Any suggestions?
Not really. They're too big and heavy. That's the thing. Because you need to use 2 mounts, one top and one bottom on the rear side. We have our ones which are flush mount. But if you were to try and angle that, you'd need to make like some rod from, either top or bottom, which way you want to angle it. And then you won't have the right angle on the mount itself. So that would be difficult.
Do the 1723s have mounting holes on the bottom to attach to stands?
Not bottom, but on the rear side, under there are 2 holes, just as on the top side, top rear. So we have our own mount for wall mounting. But,
Gotcha. Yeah, wall mounting can be hard, especially with bigger speakers.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was scared I had some bookshelf speakers that were pretty tall many years ago, and so I bought the kind that clamps to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that's sketchy. I mean, it's leaning forward, and it's just clamped on. But I didn't want to drill into it, so you're running a risk.
Amateur.
You say amateur. He's got Swiss cheese on the back of his. I mean,
They're not on the back. They're on the top. I've got center channels mounted to my ceiling, so they're not made to be
lag bolts in them.
They're just screwed into ceiling mounts. So there's a way, Ironhide. You just may not like the way, and
you'll never be able to sell them,
and they may become unreturnable. But if you're going to keep them, and it gets you to your use case and how you want to use the speaker, then to me, it makes sense.
Yeah. Just screw in some 2x4s, and then you have it tilted off the wall the way you want.
So Iron said, he says, thanks for your answer. I can't wait to upgrade from clips to some Arendal speakers. So super cool, man. So definitely got some love. We've seen it all over my channel. A lot of folks, when I make a video on your product or mention your product, they're like, hey, I own the 1723s or the 1961s. And they've just been really pleased with that. And like I said, I've got a full system in, so I'll be making more content on. Just did one the other day. It was totally different style of video, but you guys really seem to connect with that and enjoy that. So I'll be doing more types of that maybe in the future. But man, we're right at pretty close to an hour. Are there any final thoughts, Ryan, Jan, Thomas,
Nope.
Before we wrap up?
I like the objectivity. I really liked the answer between like the monitors and the towers, and being that they would sound pretty similar with properly set up subs. A lot of speaker manufacturers won't give you that answer. So I think that says a lot about your guys's business philosophy and stuff. And I think people should realize that that's something you want from a manufacturer and from a vendor.
Appreciate that.
Oh, this is interesting. Nicholas says, and I've noticed this too. So you need to sell products to clean your speakers. One fingerprint will last forever. So he's having to buff it out, because they're gorgeous, but they definitely do pick up some fingerprints. And that's what
do you guys ship with white gloves?
We do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I guess we need to include some microfiber cloths.
with the logo on it. See, branding. I like it. Super cool.
I'll make a note. I'm making
What's
notes. I'm making notes.
Yeah, there you go. You can definitely check out all their products. So be on the lookout. We might have some new products that they're working on. Don't know how long that'll take to come to market or to let you guys know, but definitely subscribe to their newsletter so that you're in the know. And of course, like I said, as they give me permission to share anything, then I'll be glad to promote that on my side to let you guys know. But you definitely got some fans over here in the US and then literally all over the world. So I love when my audience kind of pops in. I see Tango. I have no idea what this says, so I'll just throw this up super quick. Hopefully that's something kind or nice. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it says that's how we are from. That's how people are from Scandinavia. We are honest. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So see, man, we just got a global audience, and super grateful to be able to share this podcast with you. And I appreciate y'all coming on. Definitely. I know this is an odd time for our normal podcast, but we're grateful for you and grateful for what you're doing with Arendal. And like we had shared earlier, we'd love to have you at M-Wave 2024. We've got that next June. And so we'll be doing registration. We'll go live for you guys in the chat. I've kind of alluded to this a little bit, but we'll do open registration for general admission. That'll start the beginning of next month in November. And then we'll open up the home theater tours. That'll be just kind of a separate thing that you can purchase, and that'll be just individuals. You can pick 1, 2, 3, however many you want to visit, and those will just kind of be a la carte, and that'll take place. That registration will be open and available on December the 1st. So, but we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. So, well, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Jan, pleasure as always. Thomas, good hanging out with you. Ryan, appreciate you, brother. And hope you guys have an incredible week. And we'll catch you in the next live stream.
Thanks for having us.